started a company, sold it to American Express, started another one, sold it to the Wallenberg family. Talk to me about the difference, the selling of the business story. So let me know how that went, because there had to have been differences between them. You were learning things along the way, too.
Absolutely. The biggest lesson, of course, was the first one, which was selling CGI. And it's interesting because here's another thing that, especially as an investor, it sort of bothers me on when investors come in, and entrepreneurs come in. Knowing your exit and having exit strategy important? Yes. Are you building a business hopefully to sell it and make a bunch of money someday? Yes. But if the day you launch your business, all you're telling me, I had somebody come in that hadn't even started a software company yet. And I said, what's the plan? We're going to build this thing up and sell it for $300 million to Google or Yahoo. And I said, build what up? This company. So this company that doesn't even exist yet, has no value, has no customers, has no revenues, you're already selling it to Yahoo. And he said, yes. I said, I appreciate that that's your goal, but you need to get your focus off. Stop dreaming about how you're spending your Yahoo money and start figuring out how you're going to build a company that anybody would pay anything for. So I was never focused on, even though in the back of my mind I hoped there might be an exit strategy of selling my business, I was very focused on quit dreaming about that. Right now, go create value. And so the day that I got a phone call, kind of interesting, from the big guy the 800-pound gorilla in my travel services field, which was American Express back then, the first phone call was the first time it even occurred to me, I guess I created enough value now because I had nosed down and trying to create something somebody would want to buy and quit daydreaming about them buying it until you had something. So they called and said, we're interested in looking at your products to license them. And here's this 800-pound gorilla. And I am literally sitting and thinking when we're having these discussions with my business partners that wait, they have an infinite budget and an infinite number of monkeys, and they could do anything we could do way faster, or, you would think with all those people and all that money, they could just blow me out of the water. So I thought it was interesting that they were saying, we'd like to license your software. And, I kind of asked them why, and they said, well, somehow things that they gave me a specific product. They said, you have a product. They said, how long did it take you to release this product into the industry? I said, 6 months. They said, what did you spend on it? And I said, $400,000. They said, we've been working on the same product for 3 years and $7 million, and it still doesn't work. You delivered in 6 months at $400,000 something we still can't get done. And they said, so sometimes, innovation, experience, agility just trumps size. They said, we just can't turn out product like you do. And that was kind of interesting. I mean, that's how it should be. Small businesses should be a lot more agile than a big company like that. But I didn't want to license my product because then what do? I have no competitive edge to the big guy if I give him my product. I was winning customers because of the product. So when they came and said, we're interested in buying a company, first of all, I had no idea how to sell a company. But I didn't even think about it in the first pass. I just told them I don't want to sell you my products because then I have no business. And they came back and said, fine, we'll just buy the company. And again, I wasn't prepared for that. But we had you're your entrepreneur sitting in your little office, and these, army of dark-suited mergers and acquisition guys from New York City come in your office and say, we want to buy you. What do you do next? I didn't even know who to call. And the big question was valuation. I didn't have, and by the way, I will tell you that's still an exceptionally difficult problem. What's the value of my business?
Oh, yes.
You guys want to buy it. How do I value it? That's one, Marion, that I hope you help a lot of your clients with because it's still the hardest problem out there. And as you know, even though there are formulas, in the end it turns out what is your company worth? Whatever you can get for it.
Right on.
But you need a basis for justifying that. When you spit out that first number, what's the basis? What's the methodology for determining evaluation? I discovered that even today, but back then as well, I really needed to bring in experts because I didn't have any clue how to value my company. And honestly, it turned out to be a funny negotiating story because I didn't want to sell it. And I sat there thinking, yes, I'll have money tomorrow, but I love coming to work. I can't wait to get up every day. I love being there. It's energizing. It's stimulating. and I'm doing fine financially. I'm not rich at this point, but I'm making money. We're a very profitable company. So I said, no thanks. And what was funny was they winked at me and said, oh, we get it. We'll go back and tell the boss you said you don't want to sell, wink, wink. And I said, no. This is not a negotiating ploy. I'm not selling you the company. And they're going, yeah, we get it. You're pretty shrewd. And it was comical because they kept coming back to us with a better offer. And really, we didn't want to sell the company initially. So they thought I was this sharp marketer. But let me just tell you one other piece to this story where it all shifted. Once you realize that you are in a position where you've created the value that somebody might acquire, you do change your behavior. I'm going to tell you two quick funny stories, if I may. One of them was, now that you're in the sights of a company like American Express, we always went to a lot of trade shows. But I was doing something I never would have done prior to that. I was calling coordinators at trade shows and asking them if they could specifically put me in booth 14. And the reason why was because American Express was in booth 15. So I made sure I was always in their sights. And then I would do things like, we always had customers, but I would tell all my friends to come by. Come by the trade show. I'll give you a free pass. Come into the booth. And I would hear the American Express guys say, wow, that guy's everywhere, and his booth is always full of people. Well, some of them were friends of mine designed to make it look like we had an endless flow of traffic. I did another thing that I think I told you about. I was doing a magazine interview, and they wanted to take a picture of me in my office. And I said, you know what, let's take a picture in the conference room instead. So we went in, because this was for a big travel magazine, we went in my office, and I had some employees there, like I was, presenting to them, and I stood in front of the big whiteboard that had a whole bunch of stuff on it, looking like I was conducting a meeting. And that went on the cover of this travel magazine that everybody in our industry saw. And it was funny, because what was on the board was a strategic plan for the next 3 years with specific products and markets that we were attacking. And the American Express guys, later, one day, at a big sort of party, American Express, after the acquisition, the guy said to me, you did something amazingly stupid when we were looking at buying your company. And I said, what? And he said, you let a reporter take a picture of you in front of a whiteboard that told us your whole secret plan on the board. We knew exactly what you were planning to do. And they said, you're an idiot, basically. What I never said, at that point, I said, you know what, you're right. But here's the story I'll tell you, Marion. The whole thing was fake. I did the whole thing on purpose. I went in my conference room, and I drew up a plan that I knew would scare the daylights out of American Express if they thought I was going to release all these products into their marketplace. So I wrote this whole thing on the board. I let them take my picture. I let it get on the cover of a travel magazine. And back in the boardroom at American Express, what happened, it worked. They said, oh, my God, we got to get this company off the market. Look what he's doing. And I was never intending to do any of that. And it just was funny because later they said, boy, were you an idiot. And I said, you're right. I was a complete idiot. I never should have let anybody see that. So my point of all that is, once I knew I was in somebody's target, somebody's sights, I tried to do things to make my company even better positioned and more in their way and more desirable to them. I never would have done that until I knew they were interested.
Well, last time we spoke, I joked about I want to get you a golden velvet-lined box for that magic marker.
Yes.
that got you a lot of money, and it goes to the issue of business valuation. I mean, they assumed things were going to happen, and they probably valued your business higher because of that. So don't underestimate the value of a whiteboard.
Yeah, and you're right. They may have. In the end, they did all their own due diligence, asked all the questions they wanted, but they told me later that their perception of my strategic plan had a lot to do with them buying the company. So.
Well, and the fact that you're very aggressive, you look like you can do it.
Oh yeah, I think they were already a little bit worried. The other thing that we did that I recommend anybody that's getting to that point of selling their company is to really gather the support and the buzz of your own clients. So I would casually say to my own customers, but it wasn't really casually. I was calling them, specifically so I could accidentally drop into the conversation. I said, hey, a bunch of guys from American Express were down here looking at the company. So I was trying to get customer buzz so that they were talking about me, talking about it, just trying to put a little pressure on the acquirer and put a sense of value, because now it was getting out in the industry, the customers were talking about it. So I was using all the help I could use to sort of get that like I said, that buzz in our industry that get picked up by the right people.